Last time, Bardock's group encountered a threat on Earth, while Vegeta's group encountered a very weird mystery. Another Broly and Paragus appeared somehow, and nobody's too sure of what's going on. So how did it even happen? We'll be covering all that and more in this part 12 of What If Bardock Raised Kakarot. Vegeta tries asking Paragus some questions, but of course he has no clue of what's going on. He's been on this planet for decades, and nothing's changed about that. There's also no doubt about the fact that he's a Saiyan. Even the old scraps of armor that he's wearing, it's the old Saiyan armor for Planet Vegeta. But that still doesn't explain why there were two Broly and Paraguses, and why they were both so similar. Again, it could just be a huge coincidence, but the fact that both the Brolys had pretty similar backstories, albeit with some differences in between. But still, a potentially berserk Saiyan with a lot of power being sent off the planet to die? Both being named Broly, with a father named Paragus that tried to save them somehow, with both then trying to enact revenge on Vegeta. And also, that power that Vegeta sensed before, that weird energy he felt leaving the planet. Vegeta tells Raditz they need to go back to Beerus' planet right away. They want to ask Whis what's going on here because they feel like something strange is going on. Vegeta gives Paragus the option of coming with them if he'd like, but he decides to stay here. He doesn't want to go with them, but Vegeta definitely will come back. They need to figure out what's happening first. It could be a simple coincidence, but they still can't explain what that energy was that was on this planet before. Especially because Paragus has no clue of what he's talking about. No one else was here. Raditz gets ready to teleport everyone away, but Vegeta then tells him to wait a second. He feels a strange presence, that same one he felt before. He can't tell why it is strange or really what it is, but it's only there for a moment, and then it disappears. Maybe it was nothing. Maybe Vegeta's just psyching himself out, but Nappa notes he felt something strange too. And Raditz says this place freaks him out. It's time to get out of here. And Tarbell's a bit concerned too. The four of them all teleport off, locking onto Ruda and Kakarot's energies. They arrive on the planet amidst the training between the two. Seeing them showcasing a blue form, they've grown immensely. And Vegeta's definitely going to inquire about that, but not right now. Kakarot and Ruda power down. It's been a while since they've seen everyone. Those two groups went off a few months ago. And they're glad to finally see everyone back. Kakarot and Ruda have had a lot of extra time to train here, having been with Beerus for a long while now consecutively, plus getting their Kai training before. And because of that, they're able to access Super Saiyan Blue at this point. And they're so far beyond the rest of the group that, well, it's not even funny. Beerus is pretty preoccupied with some of the food from Earth right now. Bardock's group had returned a few days ago, bringing a ton of food courtesy of Master Roshi. Everyone else looks like they're in a good mood, but Bardock, he looks a little bit forlorn, and they're not really sure why. But Vegeta then explains what's going on, and asks Whis to look into it for him. Wait, he found another Broly and Paragus? That can't be right. And everything about them was really similar to the last Broly and Paragus they defeated. And they're sure it's not the same ones either because they know Paragus and Broly definitely died back then. And Whis finds this intriguing. Maybe someone used the Dragon Balls to bring them back, but that's definitely not it because who would have brought them back in the first place? And second of all, why do they have no sort of memories about it? So Whis looks at the planet that they told him about, looking through his staff and finding two people on there. And then in his staff he also brings up the former Broly. They definitely are two different people, but something is strange about that other Broly, the new one. Bardock looks at it too, and when he sees that new Broly, his eyes widen. He starts seeing another vision. And it looks like he panics for a second, but then he calms down. They ask what's up with him. He's been acting really strange recently, and he says it's nothing. But then Whis explains that Broly, he's not from this universe. He's not from this reality. His presence, his entire existence, something is strange about it. Whis says he can't really put a finger on why, but he simply doesn't belong here. The thing is, they're both Broly, but the previous Broly they fought, that was the one from this reality. This new Broly, he's from another reality. And Bardock starts sweating, so that means his visions meant something. What visions? He explains to everyone what he saw. Not too long ago, he had a vision of Vegeta fighting Broly, or at least someone who looked really similar to Broly. He wasn't sure why because, well, Broly was dead, and there were so many questions about it, but that means that vision, it actually came true. There was another Broly that Vegeta fought. One who looked pretty different, and also had a somewhat different backstory, but still pretty similar, and also had the same explosive anger. But he tells him that he had another vision too. If that's actually a Broly from another continuity, that means his other vision might mean something. He doesn't know exactly what he saw, but from what he did see, it looked like he had a vision of him facing off against himself. And now that they know that this other Broly is from another reality, that really concerns him because maybe that other vision meant something too. Whis' staff starts glowing as someone's contacting him. It's the Grand Supreme Kai and Shin. Shin is pretty panicked, pretty much like normal, but Grand Supreme Kai seems very serious. He tells them to get over here immediately, especially Beerus. It's urgent. Kakarot tells everyone he'll bring them there. They all form a massive line connecting to him, and the group all teleports to the Sacred World of Kais. It's a giant group. All the Saiyans, Granola, Whis, and Beerus. They're all there. All the Kais are gathered around each other too. Shin, Elder Kai, Grand Supreme Kai, Kibito, and the South Supreme Kai. The 5 Kais they expect to be here, but there's also another one that nobody really recognizes, except for Beerus and Whis. It's a female Kai, and she's a lot shorter than the others, and Beerus just gives off an annoyed sigh. Great, she's here. The others don't know who she is, but Beerus says if she's here, that means there's probably something wrong. And she introduces herself, the Supreme Kai of Time. And just like Beerus said, they do have a big issue. Now this of course comes as a huge shock to the group. There's another Supreme Kai here, and she apparently dictates time. And even Beerus seems a bit concerned, although he seems more annoyed than concerned. And right as she's about to begin explaining, Oatmeal then tells Granola that someone's trying to contact him. It's Monito. And he's obviously concerned, so he picks up. And Monito sounds panicked. He says the heaters are back. Granola's stomach drops. What does he mean they're back? They're dead. And without hesitation, he instantly teleports away to Planet Cereal. Granola tells him to wait, but it's already too late. He teleported away. Then Bardock says it makes no sense. How are the heaters back? Maybe the Dragon Balls could have been used, but Monito would have known that, and he didn't seem to know. Not to mention who would have revived them anyways. And then Granola says this might be what she was talking about. Some threat from the past that shouldn't be there. She begins explaining that something's wrong with the timelines. Villains from other timelines might be coming in here, and she has no clue as to why. Someone is messing with time. But who, and for what purpose? Everyone then hears a voice in their head. It's Granola communicating with them mentally. He's there, and he says Monito's safe as well as Planet Cereal as a whole. And he says the villains here are already defeated. But something's really strange about them. He's trying to question them, but they're not the heaters. Although they look really similar. He thought they might be related, but they apparently have no idea of what's going on. It's some group called the Hera Clan, and they were apparently sealed away for a long while until somehow they came here and were released. It's also led by some guy named Bojack, who Granola made pretty quick work of. But who are they? And when Granola hears this, she realizes that, yep, this is definitely related. That name, Bojack. He's a villain from another reality. So that might explain Broly too. He's not from here because somebody brought him here. Someone's messing with time and space, and she called everyone here because they need to figure out some way to stop it. And the fact that people are showing up now, that means they have to be vigilant. There could be another one showing up at any moment. Grand Supreme Kai senses a strange presence next to him, and quickly jumps out of the way as a portal opens. It doesn't even look like a portal, it looks like a tear in reality. A strong and evil presence flies through it. Just in the nick of time, Vegeta transforms into a Super Saiyan God, grabbing a sword in between his hands as someone tries to swing it at him. And he knocks the guy back, and standing there is some weird pink monster. Who the hell is this now? The monster shouts, and then they hear another voice from behind that tear in reality. He tells Janemba not to be so aggressive with his greeting, and a mysterious figure walks through, saying he's glad to see everyone here, including the Supreme Kai of Time. He thanks them all for helping in his test. He tells Janemba he can resume the fight, as Janemba faces Vegeta and Nappa, with Raditz and Tarble trying to help out too. That mysterious guy tells everyone not to mind him. He's just here to see how strong this reality is. It's one of the first few that he's testing, so excuse him for any interruptions because this is a beta test essentially. This is one of the weaker realities that he found, and depending on how this goes, he might be able to set up fights in other timelines too. He says he's honestly disappointed that Broly didn't do too much more. He found him in another timeline and thought maybe it would be interesting to place another Broly here, where one had already died. He planted Broly in Paragus hoping that Broly would grow into a stronger warrior like all the other Brolys he's seen, but he was found on accident. Vegeta wasn't supposed to stumble upon him that early on. So again, he apologizes for the hiccup. He was actually planning on making his entrance a lot later, but because of them finding Broly, it's gonna have to be now. And he could tell that Bojack's crew has already been defeated somehow on Planet Cereal. But this is a good test still. It allows him to improvise, allows him to see what he can do, and he tells them to not be so scared. This is gonna be fun. Not just for him, but for them too. They love good fights, right? And he sees a few people that aren't fighting, and thankfully he has the perfect foe for them. He recognizes some of them. He sees Bardock, he sees Goku, albeit he's wearing Saiyan armor for some reason. But he's not too sure who Gine and Ruda are. He hasn't seen Gine fight much in other timelines, and that other girl doesn't exist in too many timelines. He points at Bardock. He's actually the reason he chose this universe. In most other realities, Bardock is long dead, but this Bardock should be an interesting opponent for his next foe. And then he points at Kakarot too, saying he's glad to see Goku here as well. Goku? Oh yeah, the man apologizes. He's Kakarot in this timeline, and he forgot to introduce himself. His name is Few, but that doesn't really matter. Another portal then opens right next to it, and a strange opponent steps out. His energy feels familiar, but very different at the same time. But that hairstyle, it's unmistakable. It's the exact same hairstyle as Bardock and Kakarot, but they can't see his face. He's wearing a mask on it. The Kais all rush in to fight Few at once, but Beerus stays out of it. The Kais actually might be able to handle it, and Granola needs to figure out how to stop this. Few might have more villains coming, so she says the Kais will stop him, but Bardock is going to have to fight this Masked Saiyan. How did this reality get so unlucky? And are others at risk too? She can't know for sure. But one thing she does know is that Zeno in this reality cannot know about this, as well as Zeno's in other realities. It could be bad. Bardock confronts the other Saiyan. Why is he here? Is he him? He remembers that vision that he saw of himself. But the Masked Saiyan simply says he's not Bardock. He then powers up immensely, going Super Saiyan 3. And there's no doubt about it, that energy is definitely Bardock's. Strangely enough, he seems really powerful in Super Saiyan 3, more powerful than he should be. Raditz then teleports besides them, and Bardock's entire family collectively goes Super Saiyan God at once. Bardock says he doesn't know who this other Bardock is, but they shouldn't be fighting. Clearly it has something to do with that mask. And Few's surprised to see that they're all this powerful. Wow, looks like he underestimated this timeline. The family collectively defeats the other Bardock. They don't kill him because, well, he's Bardock, but they defeat him pretty quick. and his mask even breaks off in the process as he goes unconscious. And there's no doubt about it, this actually is another version of Bardock. Bardock from the main timeline tells the others to go attack Few. He's going to try to wake this other Bardock up and see who he really is. Around the same time, Janemba's defeated by Vegeta, Nappa, and Tarble. And he was surprisingly powerful too. With a weird energy within him, has Few been powering these villains up too? And Granola teleports back in as well, bringing the entire Hera clan with him, all unconscious of course. He was going to ask more questions, but it seems like he got his answer already. The Kais are having a tough time against Few, but now that he sees all the Saiyans jumping in against him, he decides to show off his full power, surrounded by an ominous aura, as he then powers up into Super Few. This is his current full strength at the moment, but it's definitely going to grow and this battle will really help with that too. Raditz and Gine tell the Kais to step aside, as they begin fighting Few. But he's too quick now, too powerful, their attacks aren't doing anything against him. And Kakarot looks at Ruta and nods. Looks like it's finally time to show off that great power that they have, and she's excited. She's been waiting to use this in battle, as has Kakarot. Their Super Saiyan God aura then flares up. Kakarot and Ruta's hair then turns black. It looks like they're de-transformed, but actually no. They're using their strongest power yet, Ultimate, drawing out all the power from their potential, including the power from Super Saiyan Blue. This is the peak of their strength right now, and it only grows during battle. The brother and sister duo launch in, and their attacks actually are able to hit Few. And this is very interesting to him. He knew this timeline was a little bit weaker than the other ones that he's seen, but still, he might have underestimated them a bit. And with their combined power, they're actually able to match him here. The Kai still have no clue of who this guy really is or why he's here. But from what they can gather, he's testing out different timelines, bringing opponents to them and just making them fight for some reason. Who is this guy and what is this guy? His energy feels very strange too, almost like an amalgamation of a ton of different things. And as he's facing off against Kakarot and Ruta, he's giving them a really tough fight. But someone then uses instant transmission to teleport right in next to him, landing a sneak attack, knocking him into another fighter able to launch a point-blank blast at him. And Few laughs at this. Looks like the Bardocks are working together now. The main Bardock stands there in Super Saiyan God, while that alternate time Bardock stands there in Super Saiyan 3. Bardock looks to the other one. He says that guy brainwashed him, right? And yeah, the alternate Bardock says he's glad to finally get payback. He doesn't know who this guy is, but he doesn't care. He's gonna stop him here. He also wants to learn what that red-haired form is later on too. And he's pretty glad to see Kakarot, Gine, and Raditz have grown that strong. Ruta's kinda bummed out to hear this. Does she really not exist anywhere else? Well, Kakarot chuckles a bit. He guesses that makes her more special here, trying to cheer her up. But they can't focus on that. They all fight together with Raditz and Gine also jumping back in too. Few's now being completely overpowered. He even tries to make more portals, trying to drag more people into this timeline, but it doesn't work. The Grand Supreme Kai and Cronoa work together, closing all the portals, making sure there's no more tears in reality. He can't bring in more allies, and it seems like he's actually going to be defeated here. And they are able to stop him. But they don't kill him immediately, and as he's there on the ground all beaten, he smiles, telling them well done. This timeline really does interest him, but it's not the strongest he could be in. He makes a mental note of this, and thanks everyone for the help. They really are interesting. This was a great experience. This reality seems far different from the others that he's seen, and he did kind of underestimate it. He also finds it pretty curious how Goku here isn't Goku, and there's also an extra member in Bardock's family that he doesn't know about. He then sticks both his hands out, a bunch of portals all open around him. The Kais work to desperately close all of them, and they're successful, but amidst this chaos, Few use all these warps in reality to actually teleport away. And while they stopped all the portals, Few used this as an escape. Janemba was killed by Vegeta's group, and almost automatically, the Hera clan is brought back to their own timeline, also having a portal open near them. Whis, of course, is watching the whole thing, and he checks in his staff and sees that Broly and Paragus are actually still here on Vampa, and they have no clue of what's going on actually. The other Bardock also remains behind too. They ask him if he knows anything, but he doesn't actually remember much. All he remembers is Few approached him one day, and then that mask was put on his face. Ruta wonders if other realities will face the same risk, and Cronoa says there's no need to wonder. That's definitely what's going to happen. But Ruta thinks this actually sounds pretty interesting. It could be fun. Maybe they could help stop it. She wants to fight more enemies like that, especially because this could be for a good purpose. Plus, she doesn't want to let Few get away just like that. Had she been a little stronger, she would have defeated him herself. And Bardock says they don't know what they're dealing with. They should just be glad he's gone. He's too dangerous. But Ruta asks why Bardock's so surprised to hear this. He's a rebel at heart too, and he raised them to be the same. Of course this is what she's going to think. Same with Kakarot, who ends up agreeing with her. The two have always stuck close together, and now Bardock's not really too surprised to hear it. The other Bardock just looks on kind of confused. It's strange how he's the only duplicate here. And also, he whispers to the main Bardock, "Who's that other girl with Kakarot? Wait, did this Bardock never have a daughter?" Well, Cronoa actually doesn't mind the help. She does want to track down this guy, but doesn't know where to really start. She also might need some strong warriors along the way. And she asks if those Saiyans actually do want to help. Yeah, they're pretty serious about it. It could be a fun endeavor, and again, it is for a good thing. Beerus says he's fine with it too. Honestly, it's just another excuse to get everybody off his planet. It also means Kakarot and Ruta will grow a lot stronger too. That settles it. They're gonna go with Cronoa and try to stop Few. She thinks this could be fun. Why not call themselves the Time Patrol? And with that, we have the creation of the first What If Time Patrol. There's actually nothing else to cover in this story. This universe has no other villains in it. There's no Universe 6 tournament, there's not going to be a Tournament of Power because of that, there's no Granola obviously, Superhero already happened, and Moro actually stays sealed away, since Boo is completely eradicated and he never regained energy from that. But even though that means their story in this universe is over, now their purpose is even greater. They're going to travel between timelines. This family of rebels that once faced the Frieza Force, they've now turned into something much more. It's not even just the immediate family anymore. They have more members. They've made amends with Vegeta and Nappa. They have Vegeta's brother too. And then there's Granola, a former enemy who's now a student of Bardock actually. Kakarot knows Fu is out there somewhere, and he hopes to see him again. Next time, he'll get the win. That guy's power was incredible, and Fu was clearly aiming for him too. He kept complimenting Kakarot's power, and kept calling him Goku for some reason too. He's got to figure out who that Goku guy is that he's referring to. So, this may be the finale for this series, but we may see something brand new going forward. The Time Patrol is just getting started, and Fu is just getting started too. This is where we'll leave off, at least for now. I wanted to do something more outside the box than just Kakarot growing up to be Bardock 2.0. I know we kind of took a wild turn in these past 3 parts, but I think it's a fun way to end the story. Well, at least this story. This new Time Patrol might actually show up soon in other What Ifs. This crew will be returning eventually, as will Fu. Be sure to drop a like and subscribe if you haven't already. It really helps with the channel, and it tells me you want to see more series like this. Anyways, thank you all for watching, thanks for supporting the scenario all the way through, and I'll see you all in my next video.